السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, today we'll be discussing the rules of Laam in the Quran. Right? So, most oftentimes, whenever a letter has a vowel sound, we have to pronounce the letter. But there are instances where the lam itself is going to be sakin, and how do we pronounce lam in those situations? That's what we're going to discuss today, inshallah. Basically, there are two rules, major rules for lam in the Quran. Right? So whenever lam is used, there are two major rules. It's either the lam is going to have izhar or idgham. Right? So it's either the lam is pronounced or it's not pronounced. So whenever the lam is there and you see it but it's not pronounced, that is idgham. Right? That is to say the lam is there but it's not pronounced. Right? But whenever the lam is there, it's having sukun and you pronounce it, that is al-izhar. Right? And the lam can come in different situations. And the summary of this is that whenever you see a lam that has a vowel sound, you pronounce it, right? But whenever the lam doesn't have any vowel sound, you don't pronounce it. And we're going to go to a lot of examples today, few examples of situations where you're going to see lam that is not pronounced, and where lam is what is pronounced, right? I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Yeah, so the first rule we're going to learn today is the lam, whenever lam is used as a definite article, right? As we have it in this ayah that we all know, everyone knows this ayah or this surah, or where this ayah belongs to. So you observe two things happening here. You see the lam is here, but the lam is what? It's sakin, and we pronounce the lam. So we say alhamdulillahi, alhamdu. So this one here, the lam rule here is al-izhar. So remember I said there are two rules of lam. It is either izhar or idgham, right? So whenever the lam is pronounced, usually when lam is used as part of the definite article alif alam, so you see this alif lam, so you see this very common in a lot of verses of the Quran. So whenever a word starts with alif and lam, it means that word is a definite noun, right? It's something that is known. And in this situation here, this lam is pronounced. But rather here, it's not pronounced. So the rule for lam here, it's going to be al-idgham. So the lam is kind of, merged together and it's not pronounced, separately. So here you're going to say ar-Rahman. So you wonder, where is the lam going on from here? So the lam, rather in the initial, it doesn't have anything on top of it. It doesn't have fatha, kasra, dhamma, sukun. That's the very kind of summary that you want to see. You want to see that kind of situation where lam is not having any harakat. It's not having any vowel sound. It's not having sukun either. Then you don't pronounce it in the letter of the Quran whenever you see it. Especially whenever the lam is used as part of definite article, alif alam, right? So here, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. What you see here, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we don't pronounce the lam in this area, because the rule of lam here is al-idgham. So the lam is not pronounced. So whenever lam is pronounced, the rule is what? Al-izhar. Whenever lam is not pronounced, it's written and it's not pronounced, it is called al-idgham. So we call it, the first one here, we call it izharu lam al-qamariyya, right? And this one is called al-idghamu lam al-shamsiyya. So we don't go into that right now today, into the nitty-gritty of the ahkam lam al-qamariyya or lam al-shamsiyya, and it's one of the major things that you need to know. But for the time's sake, I will not go too much into discussion of that. But just to let you know that the simple rule is whenever you see a lam as part of a definite article here, and it's pronounced because here it's having sukun. So the rule is al-izhar. And here it's not pronounced. So you don't pronounce it if you don't see anything on top of it. You don't pronounce the lam, right? And you don't pronounce the lam when anything is on top of it. And we talked about this one earlier on, I think 2 weeks ago, when we did the tajweed of Surah Al-Fatiha. Whenever this lam al-hamzat al-wasli is beginning an ayah, so you have to give it fatha if it is together in a definite article. Like whenever it's alif, this kind of symbol on top of it, and you see this kind of lam, right? You see this kind of lam as well. So there's a lam right after it, right? Connected to another word. So this is, you have to pronounce the alif with fatha, right? But in this scenario, the lam is not pronounced, but rather here, the lam is pronounced here, but it's not pronounced here. So we have other example of situations where lam can either be al-izhar or idgham. So at this point in time, I want you guys to understand two concepts, right? So lam could either have the rule of izhar or have the rule of what? Of al-idgham. So whenever it has the rule of izhar, it means the lam is pronounced, even though it's silent, right? But whenever the lam is not pronounced and it is written in the Quran, it has the rule of al-idgham, right? Excellent. So let's move on to other situations where lam can either be pronounced or not pronounced. Okay, so in this situation here, since these are examples of moon letters, I will not go more into details about this one. Yeah, so I teach the kids in the Quran reading class about these ones, and so if you're interested in joining, you can send me a message to kind of book a call and get to know more about this. So this is lam. Whenever lam is gonna be pronounced, it's silent though it's gonna be pronounced. So whenever it's that and it's together with alif al-lam, the definite article al, so it's gonna be pronounced, and it's al-izharu lamu al-qamariyya. So you guys can pronounce this one. So this one is إذ نفشت فيه غنم القوم, right? And another example of situation where lam is written and not pronounced is when lam is followed by a letter of shamsiyya, right? Among the letters of lam shamsiyya. So like ta, for instance, here is among the letters of lam shamsiyya. So this lam is not pronounced here, and you see the ta here has shad, and you would observe a trend. All the letters that follow a lam that is written and not pronounced are always having shadda. So you see this one here, this lam is not pronounced. The letter that follows it's a ta, and it has shadda. And you see the same thing here with sin, you see the same thing here with ta, you see the same thing here with noon, you see the same thing here with ta. So one other thing to let you know is that whenever you see that a lam is written, you see it doesn't have any sukun, neither fatha, you don't pronounce it, right? You don't pronounce it. Like this one here, يوم التلاق, right? يوم التلاق, يوم التلاق. See that? So you don't pronounce the lam, right? And this one here, والسماء والطارق, والطارق. So both of these, they have the lam, but the lam is neither pronounced, right? And this one here, النجم الثاقب, right? So let's move on to other situations where we are not talking about definite articles, right, for lam. The situations where lam, so I told you guys, so the major rule for lam is either izhar or idgham, right? And here, when lam is used as part of verbs, right? When lam is used as part of verbs in the Quran. So the other one we talked about earlier is when lam is part of a noun, right? So when lam is used to be part of a verb in the Quran, there are two situations that can happen as well. It's either the lam is pronounced in izhar or it's not pronounced, right? So lam is not going to be pronounced if the lam is silent, right? And is followed by another lam letter or raw letter. So the lam is not going to be having sukun or any other thing like that. So as you can see here, this lam is completely silent, right? You don't pronounce it. So if you want to read this one, it's going to be قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ. So you don't pronounce this lam at all. قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. So you see here, you don't pronounce this lam. So if the lam is followed by a letter ra or lam, and the lam, that lam is sakin, it's having nothing like this one here, it will be idgham, right? So it's not going to be pronounced. But you see rather here, the lam is pronounced with sukun because it's followed by a letter other than lam and ra. قال ألم أقل إن. So the lam is pronounced with izhar, right? ألم أقل. So you have to make sure that the sukun is coming out from the lam. You don't want to omit it. You don't want to, omit that at all. قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. Right? So this is when lam is used as part of verbs. So it could either be izhar or al-idgham. So most often times, whenever the lam, the silent lam, most often, yeah, especially the silent lam, right? See here. So whenever lam is followed by another lam or ra, and it's used like this form here, oftentimes you're gonna see this in the Quran. And the thing is that you will see that this lam is having nothing. It's having nothing on top of it, right? You see this one has a sukun. So whenever you see a lam that's not having anything, that's the rule of thumb, right? You don't pronounce the lam. You don't pronounce it. So whenever you don't see sukun, you don't see fatha, kasra, dhamma on it, you don't pronounce it, right? Okay, so let's move on. And this situation here as well, you see, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. وَقُلْ رَبِّ. See, I didn't pronounce the lam at all. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Right? وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. So that's so very easy, right? You don't see any sukun or any fatha kasra on the lam, then you don't pronounce it, right? So this one, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Right? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. So you have to pronounce this one because one, the ha is the one that comes after the lam or sakin. So it's not following the rule of idgham here, right? So it's going to be pronounced with the sukun, right? And you see another example here. قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُم مَّا تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Right? So that's that. And all that, the last one I'm going to discuss right now is whenever we have lam, right? Whenever we have a silent lam as part of the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's either two things. It's either you do the tafkhim or at-tarqiq. So what is the meaning of this? So if the word Allah is preceded by a fatha, so the letter that, the word that comes after the word Allah is having a fatha or a dhamma, you have to do tafkhim. So you have to pronounce the word of Allah with a very heavy and closed mouth. Like here. أولئك حزب الله ألا إن حزب الله هم المفلحون. So you observe the way I pronounce the name of Allah here. أولئك حزب الله. So you see my mouth? أولئك حزب الله ألا إن حزب الله هم المفلحون. And you see something here as well. I pronounce. So whenever the word Allah is preceded by what? By a kasra. So you have to what? You have to do tarqiq. You have to open your mouth and pronounce it lightly. Alhamdulillahi. So you don't say Alhamdulillahi. That's wrong, right? It has to be Alhamdulillahi. Or in the very famous ayah, Bismillahi. So you see, Bismi, the meme has kasra, and the word that follows the meme is what? The word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have to do what? You have to pronounce it lightly because the letter that comes after it, that comes in the word right after it is having kasra, then you have to do tarqiq, right? So it's going to be Bismillahi. So it's not Bismillahi, right? It will be Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, right? But you see here, we pronounce the word of Allah with a very heavy closed mouth. Ulaika Hizbullah. So Allah is different from Laha, right? So we have to observe this while pronouncing our lam rules in the Quran, inshallah. So this is going to be the end of the class, and these are other examples of the rules of lam. I'm going to end here, and if anyone has any questions, you can shoot me comments below or send messages to my Facebook Messenger. And right now we are taking a new enrollment for our accelerated Quran reading program that is starting February 6th. So we're having a new cohort of students starting next month. So if you so desire to help your child to learn to become a fluent Quran reciter within 16 weeks, I discussed this last week on how you can get to know how to, how your child or you yourself can learn to become a fluent Quran reciter within 16 weeks. So we have 10 things to learn. for a basic learner of the Quran and they become a fluent Quran reciter. So if you will be interested in learning more about this program, send a message or you send a comment below this video, inshallah. I will reach out to you, bi'idhnillah. So if anyone has any questions, you can shoot me questions there in the comment below here, and then I'm gonna be attending to it right now. So in summary, what we'll learn today, for everyone who's gonna be listening and watching this later on. So the rule of lam in the Quran is two rules basically. Is either it is al-izhar or al-idgham. And the meaning of this is whenever the rule of lam is al-izhar, it means the lam is not pronounced. And most often times you will see in the Quran that lam, izhar, the lam is pronounced, sorry. So the lam is pronounced for izhar, right? There is a clear pronunciation of the lam with the sukoon, right? And most often times you're going to see a sukoon or any haraka on the lam like we have here. So definitely you have to pronounce this lam with sukoon. But in this kind of scenario, this is idgham because the lam is not having any haraka on it. It's not even having sukoon on it, right? So you don't pronounce. So whenever you see a lam that's having sukoon, the fatha, you pronounce it, right? Whenever the lam is having nothing, you don't worry to pronounce it in the Quran. And that rule is called al-idgham. So until we meet next week, inshallah, if no one has any questions, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.